Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Star Wars Guys YouTube channel, where the Force is family. I am Master Paul, and as you can see, I'm in my alternate location because, again, my Wi-Fi is being stupid upstairs, and I can tell already it's going to be stupid with me even here. But we're going to bear through this. And real quick, hello to Red Tigress. How are you today? Michael will be joining us here in a little bit. Michael is heading home, actually, as we speak, and he's going to get his computer set up to join us. He was going to join us from the same house, but he figured that with less devices on our Wi-Fi router, that should, lessen the burden on it. So hopefully that works. So in the meantime, how are you guys? Red Tigress says she's doing well. That's good. And you have not seen Star Wars Hunters. What is that? It's a trailer for an upcoming Nintendo Switch game that we're going to talk about here in a little bit. And, well, that's all I'm going to say about it for now. And then, of course, after this, we're going to review the movie Dune, which should be pretty fun. And I'll be honest, I'm still sort of processing my thoughts on this movie, and I've seen it now 1.5 times since yesterday. So we'll get into that soon. Obviously, because I'm in my alternate location, there is unfortunately no music today for the pre-show. So we'll just bear with it and go. Right now, I am sharing out the links as I always do. And Red Tigress says, you will continue to process your thoughts, believe me. Oh, yeah, I can tell. Also, real quick, while I'm sharing this out, a couple sort of housekeeping things I got to go over real quick. A couple announcements. Next week, there will be no stream because Michael and I both will be out of town. Nor will there be any Tuesday Night Trek, not this coming Tuesday, but the one after, because again, we'll still be out of town. We won't be back, I want to say, till Friday. But we will still be making some form of content because we'll be going to meet with Coffee on Korriban, and I'm sure we will come up with some stuff to do either on our channel or on his. So definitely be looking out for that. And also, Michael and I are going to be teaming up with both Coffee on Korriban and the Matt Cave. Go subscribe to both of those if you haven't already. We're going to be teaming up with them to start doing a series, sort of a review / retrospective of the Clone Wars, because I have never seen the Clone Wars all the way through. I know, and I call myself a Star Wars fan. But anyways, we're gonna fix that. We're gonna watch the Clone Wars all the way through, from the movie to all the way up to season 7, and maybe even the 2D ones too. We'll see. And then, of course, giving our thoughts on them and, what they did right, what they did wrong, and things like that. So we've got some good stuff going on here on the channel, and we're just going to keep ramping it up. All right. Almost done. Okay, so let me hold on a sec. So Red Tigress has not seen the Clone Wars. If you can get a hold of a copy of them, watch them, because I have, even though I've not seen all of the Clone Wars, I have seen a pretty decent chunk of it. I've seen the entire first season, and I think about a good third of the second one. And of what I've seen, I know that people don't generally enjoy the first couple seasons as much as they do the later ones, but even of what the first couple seasons showed, I did really like that, and I liked the movie too. So you have not seen the Clone Wars, definitely watch them, and then tune into. Well, we don't have a name for the show yet, but tentatively we're going to say it's Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern is when we're going to do this. So tune in for that if you want to hear some great discussions about the Clone Wars. And then real quick, Red Tigress says, gotta re-up my Disney Plus for Visions. Yeah, because Visions is 3 days away. Let's see, today's the 19th. It drops Wednesday. So yeah, definitely. I won't say definitively resubscribe to Disney Plus. If you morally can't do that, perfectly fine. But if you're interested in seeing Star Wars Visions, find some way to watch it by Wednesday. That's how I'll say that. And I figure I'm going to go ahead and share the link, the StreamYard link to Michael, just in case he's ready. All right, and hello to the Nerdporial Lifeform, my co-host of Tuesday Night Trek. And yes, we are talking about the original 1984 David Lynch movie Dune, because we saw it yesterday, or I saw the second half of it late last night with EBN on their Discord and didn't know what was going on. So it took me subscribing to HBO Max to do it, but I found a version that I could stream myself, and I just watched it before getting on the stream. So we're going to talk about that here in a little bit. Just waiting on Michael so we can get proceedings underway. So, let's see. What else has been going on lately? Real quick, Amazon Prime also has it, or did at one point. Yes, they do have it, but you have to pay $3 to rent it. Whereas with HBO Max, you just got to subscribe, which I did. And yes, the bad guys were all ugly gingers. Not that all gingers are ugly, but those gingers were ugly. Let's see. Ooh, here's something. I was just Googling Star Wars news just to talk about with you while we're waiting on Michael to join, and I did find something pretty interesting just now. And hello to Leia Rose, and don't worry about being late, because in truth, this is actually take 2 of this stream. The first stream I tried to do upstairs at my normal setup, like usual, but was having bad connection issues with it. And honestly, I'm even having bad connection, at least according to what I can see now. I'm having bad connection issues now. So at this point, the best thing to do is just grin and bear it. So yeah, that's why there's no music on this stream. And he's working on his first serial horror sessions now. Awesome. All right, so let's look at this article really quick. This is from space.com, and it's titled stupid. Don't worry about that. It's titled Hasbro Unveils New Star Wars Black Series and Vintage Collection Figures, including a new lightsaber, and the lightsaber will be their most realistic one yet. So not even reading this article, this is the first time I've seen this, not even reading this, I'm going to predict that their most realistic lightsaber yet is going to be the extendy one that they showed in the Disney parks, or some variation of that. Anyways, let's continue on. Become one with the Force with Hasbro's latest additions to the Black Series and the Vintage Collection models, including a replica of Rey's Skywalker's iconic lightsaber from Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. Okay, so I was dead wrong. They're talking about this. Well, the hilt's not an abomination, but the blade is. The new products were unveiled during Hasbro's Star Wars Fan First live stream and will include many fan favorites such as the Mandalorian and Grogu, aka Baby Yoda, Emperor Palpatine, Stormtroopers, and Lando Calrissian. All the toys and models revealed by the toy maker will be available to purchase from the spring of 2022, but no official date has been revealed. According to the toy manufacturer, this Force Effects lightsaber is their most realistic to date and will feature a real metal handle, a twist to ignite feature, battle clash, and blaster effects, as well as molted blade tip effects. Okay, so it sounds like they're trying to do a much, much cheaper version of what NeoPixel sabers already do much, much better. So we'll see. The yellow blade, made famous by Rey in the film, is removable, and the lightsaber comes with a stand for display. This offers anyone with the lightsaber, which is suitable for people age 14 or older, the option to use the model as a toy or to light up any room as a centerpiece. I would not do that with this saber. Available at most major retailers, the approximate retail price will be $264.99. Unfortunately, this model isn't powered by kyber crystals, so the 3 AA batteries required to turn the lightsaber on will be sold separately. Because of course it will. Hasbro also unveiled an epic batch of galactic figures coming to the toy company's Black Series line. 8 brand new models will be added to the line and will include 6-inch, 15 centimeters models of the Mandalorian and Grogu, aka Baby Yoda. I'm guessing it's specifically this. And it looks like specifically this is the scene from after he just fought the Mudhorn. So, okay. It'll also include Leia Organa and numerous characters from the Mandalorian television series. And I bet you it's not going to include Cara Dune. While the Mandalorian and Grogu figure will retail for an approximately $36.99, all other figures in this announcement will retail for the same lower price of approximately $26.49 and are all suitable for children age 4 and up. So there's picture of the Stormtroopers right there. The final group of figures Hasbro is releasing features new additions to their Vintage Collection line of models. Some of the models include characters from the original trilogy like Emperor Palpatine, Lando Calrissian, Stormtroopers, and a Bib Fortuna figure. Also, inspired by Hasbro's announcement, is a retro-inspired prototype Stormtrooper, which has multicolored body armor as opposed to the traditional white and black. These figures are considerably smaller in size compared to their Black Series counterparts, standing at 3.75 inches. Figures in the Vintage Collection also vary in price, ranging from $13.99 up to $41.99. That is actually, I didn't know that that the range of price spanned that much for those types of figures. although most of the items are at the lower end of the scale. Premium detail and design across these models is what helps them stand out, and combine that with posable parts, these figures can be plenty of fun on their own or really look cool as part of a set, and that's pretty much the end of that. So let's go back to this. So they're claiming that this is their most realistic lightsaber because it has a hilt actually made of metal. And strangely, I don't doubt them. So, number one, this is disappointing to me because I was under the assumption that all the other hilts that they had, like the classic Skywalker lightsaber, or Obi-Wan's lightsaber, or Vader's lightsaber, that all of them had real metal components too. But according to this article, apparently not. So, number two, the idea that this has a completely metal hilt, as well as saying what effects it's going to have in the blade, there are companies like Vire Sabers, like Dark Wolf Custom Sabers, like Corbanth, like the Pock Store that have already been doing this and doing a way better job of doing it for about the same price. Seriously, go look at Vire Sabers, Dark Wolf, and you'll see basically stuff that can do more than what this saber can for the same price, if not sometimes less. So I guess if you don't care about all of that and you really do like the Rey Skywalker lightsaber, this is for you. But personally, I have no use for it. And funny enough, this exact lightsaber, or at least one very similar, has already been on sale for quite a while at Galaxy's Edge. I know this because my sister's boyfriend bought one. And I've held it in my hand and the hilt feels good. I'll give it that. But you've already heard me say enough about the yellow blade, so we're not going to beat that horse to death any further. But my point is, the fact that they're making this, the fact that it's their most realistic lightsaber, making such a big deal of it when honestly it's really not. When you consider that other companies outside of Lucasfilm have been doing a much better job for much longer. And Red Tigress is with me, saying, have to agree the yellow is not a nice color visually. Yes, it's not. Let's see if they have any other pictures of it. Okay, so there it is on the stand. There's the box art. Okay, and those are the only pictures it has. And let's see. Connor Fuller says Stormtrooper 4-pack is sold out. It's a pre-sale, and it's sold out. And yeah, I agree. It is madness. Connor Fuller also says that I'm guessing the multicolored Stormtrooper is a repaint. Yeah, I believe it. Because once you get past the multiple colors, what's really different about that figure? Can it do something the others can't? I seriously doubt that. And yeah, they have to push something. So, who knows? And Leia Rose, I don't know what Marisol is. So you'll have to help me out with that. But if you're saying you could get for your niece whatever Marisol is over Rey's lightsaber, I don't blame you. So yeah, that's that. Let's see what else we can talk about. Oh, wait a minute. I know something else we could talk about real quick. There apparently is going to be a George Lucas documentary. So let's go over that really quick. All the Black Series announcements were repaints. Every single one. I believe it. And honestly, I haven't bought anything Black Series in a while. SH Figure Arts. I'm going to put that name in the chat. I have shouted them out before. This brand right here. You want good Star Wars figures? Go here. It's a Japanese company. It's going to be expensive. It's going to be $50 a figure. I will warn you. But the quality is worth it. But anyways, on to what I was talking about here. This is on IGN, so again, consider your source. Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back's co-writer is making a 6-part documentary about George Lucas. Lawrence Kasdan will be directing this docuseries that will also give a deep dive on ILM. So, Lawrence Kasdan co-wrote Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, as well as apparently The Force Awakens and Solo. And I think Last Jedi. But whatever. Lawrence Kasdan, the co-writer on both Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, is directing a new 6-part docuseries on George Lucas and ILM, Industrial Light and Magic. As reported by Collider, composer James Newton Howard revealed on Score the Podcast that he recently finished scoring this new documentary and that he may also be involved in the upcoming sequel to Lucasfilm's Willow that is headed to Disney+. The film is being executive produced by Lawrence's son, Jonathan. And of course, there is a picture of the two of them together. Lucas founded ILM in 1975 to help him create his vision for Star Wars, and the company would go on to help create films from such franchises as Indiana Jones, Back to the Future, Terminator, I didn't know that, Harry Potter, didn't know that either, and some in the MCU, didn't know that either. Wow. ILM and its parent company Lucasfilm were acquired by Disney in 2012, so that makes sense then why they helped out with the MCU. And while this docuseries does not have a release date or platform as of yet, it very well may find its way to Disney+. In fact, I could pretty much almost guarantee that it will. It's the only logical choice. Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back was Kasdan's first official writing credits, and he would stay in that galaxy far, far away to help write Return of the Jedi, The Force Awakens, Solo, and the Shadows of the Empire video game. He also worked with Lucas on Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark and wrote and directed Body Heat. Don't know what that is. And that's pretty much the end of that article. So yeah, we're going to get a series about George Lucas now. So that'll definitely be interesting to see. Honestly, I hope it's good. I hope it's, well, I hope it's as truthful as it can be. Because if Disney is indeed making, because if it's going to be Disney that makes this and ultimately puts it out, they're going to want to cast themselves, the way I see it, in as best a light as they can. So hopefully, hopefully they're brave enough to at least tell some of the truth. I don't think they're going to really go into detail about how they pretty much stabbed George Lucas in the back as far as their promises to him of respecting their characters and such, you know, like they did with the sequels. And like Bob Iger openly admits in his book that they pretty much threw away his plans for his sequel trilogy. It would be cool if they mentioned that and, you know, pretty much confirm what we already know, but I don't think they're going to. But you can hope. Leia Rose says, my niece Marisol is 19, and she is starting her first collection of Star Wars. Nice. Nice. So that is that. So real quick, I gotta wonder how is the stream quality right now, because I am still seeing 1 out of 3 Wi-Fi bars on my screen. So put a 1 in the chat if it's okay. Put a 2 in the chat if it's not that good right now. Okay, so Leia Rose says it's okay. All right, good. So we will press on. Give me a quick second to... Let me make sure that Michael has gotten the link to StreamYard. All right, he got it, but he hasn't seen it yet. I am really fuzzy. Yeah, I know. I'm using my built-in camera on my laptop right now. I didn't bring down my good 1080p camera with me, so that's pretty much a given. Oh, and by the way, Black Dragon, I did send you a friend request on Star Trek Online. And hello to Coffee on Korriban. How are you today, sir? I'm going to text Michael real quick just to make sure. So real quick to recap for those that have just joined us, we are going to, as soon as Michael gets here, talk about Star Wars Hunters. It's a new Switch game that's going to come out. It honestly, to me, it looks like a Fortnite clone. And then after that, we're going to transition into reviewing Dune, because I saw it at first last night on Echo Base Network's Discord, but came in about the second half of it, so I was completely lost. So I watched it again from the beginning earlier today before getting on the stream. And so now we get to scratch yet another movie off the list, and according to what others have said, a pretty big one. So that'll definitely be fun. And anyone watching right now that has seen Dune, if you would like to join us in that conversation, let me know, and you'll be welcome to join the stream. And Leia Rose says it's on Netflix. Okay. Let's see. So you did get it. I was on earlier. Spock was on with me a little bit. I will probably hop on again afterward to so that I can get that T6 coupon, and I do really appreciate that, man. Thank you. And Red Tigress, okay, yeah. How best could I get a hold of you to send the StreamYard link when the time comes? All right. All right, you know what? We're going to go ahead and get on with the show now. Michael will join when he joins. So I'm going to go ahead and share a YouTube video now with you guys. This is off Nintendo's official channel. And this is the trailer for Star Wars. This is the trailer for Star Wars Hunters with the subtitle of Welcome to the Arena. So here it is.
Got her in my sights. Going in. Lose your team again, Reed?
Don't need them to take you on, Aaron. You'll have to do better than that.
She's all yours, Graz. For the Empire!
I can handle this, Sentinel.
Think again. Good in, wait,
Feel the light side set. It's now or never.
Agreed. It ends here.
Looks like we do this together.
Let's show them what we got.
Front start.
Targets acquired.
On my mark.
It doesn't get closer than this. Down to the last 30 seconds.
Fantastic. What a great night, Alex.
I'm on a winning streak here. Do not let me down.
You must be going for my record.
And now, here are today's combatants.
This ought to be good.
So that Michael's here. Hey.
Hey.
So how much of that did you see before you popped in? Or when you popped in?
Pretty much the second half of it, but I had already seen it already, so no need to play it back.
All right. Well, I'm gonna pull it up again as we do. This time I'm gonna do it without sound, and we'll break down certain parts of it. So here again is the trailer, and we will start here with this character. As you can tell, Michael, by this character's design, would you agree with me when I said earlier that this game pretty much looks like a clone of Fortnite?
I would definitely say it has that aesthetic, especially if we look at the top where it's a Nintendo Switch trailer, and usually Nintendo Switch appeals to younger audiences. So I guess that's kind of what they're going for with the game's look so far.
I guess so. And nothing wrong with this thing being nothing wrong with this being a Fortnite clone, nothing wrong with this being for little kids. You know, they got to play games too. Here's what I don't understand though. This is yet another character that is, number one, a woman, but a woman that has that dumb shaved side of the head haircut. We've had so many characters like this, most notably Teela from the new He-Man show. What is it about character designers that think that this haircut on a woman looks good? Because it doesn't. Like, you could have given her literally the same design as you did now, same character you did, but given her a more conventional hairstyle.
Well, the only answer I can really give, and this is thinking like them, or them defined as people who like this sort of thing. This is not my own opinion, but I would say to them, it's breaking boundaries of what you say conventional haircuts, but obviously it's just unnecessary, like you say.
I'm going to find a picture of this real quick because this is not... I'm going to try and find a picture of all of the characters like this that have this sort of haircut.
I do know
there's
that
a lot.
I do know that Asajj Ventress, when she was young, had a similar haircut where the sides of her head were pretty much bald, but then there was just enough hair left over to create like a little weave, or not necessarily a weave like a wig, but it just kind of flowed over the side, kind of how like my hair is. But
Right.
Of course, I still have all of my hair on my head.
Yeah. All right, so I'm not finding the exact picture that I saw right now, but I know I had seen a meme that someone had posted that showed a whole layout of characters from a whole bunch of different shows and games and such that had this exact hairstyle. And pretty much with the exception of that along with that hairstyle, one of the things that they pretty much all had in common was they were associated with characters that most of the time,
Woke.
people didn't really like, and yeah, we're considered woke. By the way, Jonathan just walked in. You want to say hey, hello to everyone?
Sure, why not?
Okay. And yes, Coffee on Korriban, I know that that is your hairstyle, but I'm talking specifically on a girl. This looks bad to me. You make it look okay.
Careful what you may say.
What?
Well, I'd kind of like.
All jokes. Of
Hold on a
course.
second.
So, I'd like. Well, I'm probably gonna spend the night tonight because both mom and dad have to work tomorrow.
I'm gonna guess she's human. Okay. Say hello if you're gonna be loud on the microphone.
Hello.
Get your
Y'all
whole
hear-
face
can
so
y'all
that we
see
can
me?
see that.
Okay, there.
There we go. That's better.
All right. Yeah, Jonathan and mom and dad just came home from King's Dominion. They had a weekend there, so that's what that is. All right, moving on. All right. I'll give this trailer the game this though. That is a cool Mandalorian helmet design. And I could see
Yeah.
someone making a pretty impressive replica of that.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see. Something else. We're going to go out of order here.
Actually,
Something
can you
else.
go back to the shot of her, the Sith character, whoever she's going to be?
Yeah.
Because there's a tiny detail that I want to point out if we can get a little clearer of a picture. Because contrary to her looks, if you can tell just a little bit by her eyes, those aren't yellow or red Sith eyes, or at least they
They're
don't appear to be.
purplish. They look purplish
Yes.
to me.
Now, of course, take this with a grain of salt because this is not the first time where we've seen something like that, where Count Dooku most notably was considered a Dark Lord of the Sith, but he didn't have yellow eyes 90% of the time. His were always more brown, I want to say.
I could see that. Here's the thing, though. By the way they showed her in the very end of the trailer, about right here, I don't think she's actually a Sith. I think she's playing a role.
Mm-hmm.
Because apparently all of these people were competing against each other, but when they're seen outside of the arena, they're friends.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think she was just truly Sith to the beginning. I think she just looks like one and has a red lightsaber.
Yeah.
But again, I could be proven entirely wrong. All right, let's talk about the Wookiee character. Really, I don't know why he's using what looks like droid arms as weapons when he could be using a bowcaster or something. But as far as the Wookiee himself, he looks like a Wookiee. Very interesting that they gave him something that looks like a mustache, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's see what else.
Then, let's see. Which other characters should we move on to next? So far as
Well, the
their
Stormtrooper.
design.
Stormtrooper, again, really nothing to say except for some reason he has a crack across his helmet.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. All right. Number one, here's a better view of the Mando.
Yeah.
Again, I'd say he's probably the best designed character out of this whole thing, to me at least.
Yeah,
But-
and to me, it
All right.
seems like they've pretty much stitched different pieces of armor together to make him, where
Yeah.
you see the helmet looks more like Din Djarin's style of helmet, and then the breastplate covering his chest seems to be made up of the same design as the armorer. And
I
then
can see it.
his left hand obviously has the gauntlet for fire, but it's more like Boba Fett's, where you can actually see the tubes going out. Whereas
Yeah.
for Din Djarin, with the gauntlet.
Yeah.
And then
Real quick,
on his,
I missed this earlier.
Mhm.
Black Dragon said this about the haircut. And yeah, you are exactly right. I think me and Michael both, because of where we work, can confirm this, right, Michael?
I shall remain silent on this issue. The internet may or may not approve of what may or may not be said.
Fair
And
enough.
of course, we don't want to dox anybody.
Yeah. And of course, the Matt Cave says, I will be playing this game with my son. Once I get a feel for it, I will be doing a full review. Yeah, I will definitely be looking forward to that review, man. I'm not completely... It's not a complete no for me on this game, but this trailer does not do a good... I don't particularly like this trailer overall, and I don't see myself enjoying the game, but I'll still give it a chance, maybe. But, anyways, let's talk about this droid, Michael.
Mm-hmm.
A droid programmed to believe it's a Jedi and programmed to wield a lightsaber. Number one, the fact that it's programmed to believe it's a Jedi. I mean, believable maybe, but still just kind of stupid to me. But here's the bigger issue, and I literally just now realized this. Remember Proxy from Force Unleashed?
Yes.
This droid here seems pretty much like a watered down version of Proxy, except Proxy was able to literally assume the form of any force wielder that it was programmed with, and this guy just has
form of fighting it had.
Yeah, and their form of fighting. But this droid, you can still tell it's a droid. In fact, that doesn't look like Jedi robes on it. It looks like plating in the pattern of a Jedi tunic.
It could be,
and yeah, Matt Cave says here. So, again, I'm sure... I don't want to completely say it's stupid, because, again, this is just a trailer, but at the same time, that's how I'm feeling about it right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we'll
I don't know.
Wait and see how it turns out in the game. It could be a pretty cool idea.
Yeah. Honestly, I can't help but get the feeling that this is somewhat like how when we're kids playing with Legos and we decide to give droids lightsabers as if they're like some sort of equal to Jedi. Like, I can't help but think that this is sort of like how this is what's being played out.
And then this right here, this is just childish. This is how you know that this really is a game meant for children, because you got Jawas doing this. Doing literally the little rascals shtick as they're trying to go in and get that loan from the bank.
Yeah.
Though, again, there is still another thing that I do like about this. This little creature, I don't know what it is, an Ugnaught, I'm guessing, literally turning a droideka into a vehicle, which, okay, I think that's pretty cool. And then, of course, well, hold on, go back.
Yep, there's a closer shot of him.
There's a clearer view. So yeah, that's a cool concept. I'd be down with that. And then this character just given cybernetic legs for whatever reason. I'm guessing that this is like battle scars of like a past arena showdown. But I don't know for sure. And then, of course, the battle lines are drawn here. But let's see, zoom out to here. Yeah. So that's the arena where all those characters were. And then over here's more arenas. So like I said, that lady earlier with the bad haircut with the red lightsaber, that's why I don't think she's truly a Sith. I think it's like professional wrestling, where you know that those guys are not always 24/7 how they present themselves in the ring. It's a character they're playing. And I think that's what's going on here.
Yeah.
Let's see. And then
there's that last shot of them walking out.
And then whoever this is, which again, another female voice, so who knows?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much this whole trailer. And like I said, I don't want to just write it off as stupid, but
But at the same time,
I'm seeing, but at the same time, I'm seeing more that I don't like than what I do like. So
yeah.
that's how it is.
Yeah.
What do
But
you think?
I will say this, based on the different character designs, I do think that this is going to be almost like a Rogue One scenario where I had mentioned that Rogue One play the diversity card the right way, but they didn't like shove it down your throats like modern Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
It was just there. But I'm not talking on the case of, oh, there's a female lead or there's a person of color who's a lead as well. Rather, I'm talking about the fact that you get to choose who you may or may not play as. You want to play as a droid Jedi? Go for it. You want to play as a Mandalorian? Go for it. You want to play as someone who may or may not be a Sith? Go for it. And you want to be a Wookiee that's more muscle? Go for it. It's almost going to be like the Star Wars answer to Gotham Knights, I want to say, where each character seems to have their own unique style of gameplay and also their own unique way of fighting, so that's depending on what kind of player you are, you can kind of choose that. Now, of
I can
course,
kind of see that.
this is just a reveal trailer, so we haven't seen any gameplay from it whatsoever.
Right.
So, with that being said, it's not like I'm going to rush in, get a Nintendo Switch now just to wait for this thing to come out. But
Yeah, same here.
I do think that I might just wait to see what happens with this game. I might even look at some reviews just to see how well it turns out. But that being said, I am slightly interested, but I can tell that this is definitely not a Jedi Fallen Order game.
Yeah, for sure. So, let's talk about. Actually, before we do get into reviewing Doom, something's weird's going on with my camera feed, Michael. Can you see it? It's like there's a green light slightly pulsing on my screen.
I don't see a green light, but I do see something pulsing.
Yeah, so this camera in my laptop, I think I'm just going to have to get a second camera for it. One dedicated to this laptop and just use that instead of the built-in one because this thing is hot garbage.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's talk about Dune now. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to put the StreamYard link in chat. If you have seen Dune and would like to join us in talking about it, because Lord knows we're going to need some help with this one,
Mm-hmm.
you're welcome to join. So here is the StreamYard link. And come on in.
And of course, after the review, feel free to put in your thoughts on the Jedi Hunters. Here's a trailer and pretty much some of your thoughts based on what you saw.
Am I connected to my 5G band from my Wi-Fi router? Honestly, I don't even know if my Wi-Fi router has a 5G band. Like I said, the Wi-Fi is under the control of my grandmother, and the sooner I can convince her to get something better, the better. In fact, I'm probably going to try and do that after stream tonight, but we'll see. Likely nothing's going to change, unfortunately, anytime soon. She's not going to want to because, again, we're going to be out of town in the week after next, so she's not going to want to do anything until after that, if she does at all. So, while people are joining in, Michael, what would you say overall your thoughts are on Dune?
I'll admit, this was a hard movie to follow. And not because of it being a bad movie. It definitely had its strong points. It's just so confusing. Like, I would say it's probably more confusing than The Matrix, if I'm being honest.
I could agree with that. And hello to Red Tigress. How are you?
Hi, guys. I'm good.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
Doing well.
Doing good.
So you mentioned earlier in the chat that you have seen Dune.
I have seen Dune. I have read Dune. I have listened to the audiobooks of the entire series,
Oh
including the
wow.
Brian Herbert ones.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow. Okay. So yeah, your knowledge will be most appreciated now.
Sorry for no camera, but the laptop I'm on right now, for some reason, can't find the camera. I'm not sure what's going on.
That's fine. At least you don't have to contend. Well, it seems to have gone away now, but that weird pulsing. Hold on. It seems to do it with my hand. Yeah, it's not worth it. I'm just going to keep it turned off. But yeah, at least you don't have one that at least semi works. All right, so my thoughts on Dune, because I've seen it, like I said, now about 1.5 times. And I can certainly say that having seen it now from beginning to end, it's definitely a little less confusing than it was when I saw it just coming in to it halfway through. So,
Yeah.
holy cow, there was a lot to this movie. They throw a bunch of stuff at you right in the beginning, don't they?
Yes, they do. And the thing in the books, there's a statement in the books, and it's made in the Lynch movie, and I can't remember who says it. It talks about plans within plans. And that's kind of what
Yeah.
this whole book is structured on. It's layers upon layers upon layers upon layers. Nothing is
Right.
ever quite what it seems.
Right. And hello, by the way, to Black Dragon. How are you today?
Oh, just come in to talk about Dune while I'm trying to update this character.
Sounds good.
I screwed up.
Oh no.
That's all right. So overall, Black Dragon, what would you say your thoughts on Dune are?
Well, I watched it when it well, I'm not going to say when it hit theaters. When it came to cable TV,
Okay.
which was probably about a year after it hit theaters, if that. I mean, like I said, the first time I watched it, yeah, I was a little confused. But I watched it every chance I could get, and I ended up falling in love with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can definitely
The
say
more
confusion.
you watch it, the more you pick up on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can definitely say, confusion aside, I did really like this movie. In fact, I know it's going to go up in the upper echelons of my ranking that I have, but but I don't know for sure yet. And real quick, shout out to X-Wing. How are you today, man? If you're having Hangar Bay later tonight, man, I'll definitely be there for that. But yeah, I definitely liked this movie.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get into it a little bit deeper.
Okay.
And let's start with what it took to actually make this movie, because holy cow, did they throw everything, including the kitchen sink, in this movie. They used practical effects. It looked like they used some CGI stuff in there. They literally had fat ginger guys floating around as if he was on like a pulley system.
He was on
did
a
it
pulley
all.
system. Yeah,
they did it all.
They put in every possible for the time frame that it was filmed in. They did everything they could possibly do. Now, personally, I think on some of them, David Lynch went a little over the top for trying to be what's in the book, because the Baron never flew around. Okay. That was something that always bugged me about one of the effects in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
If you read the book, the Baron, he kind of floats. Okay. So I guess you could say kind of, but nothing that
extreme.
I mean, the personality is definitely the personality from the book, but that was always one of the effects that bugged me a little bit, because I thought he overdid it.
Okay. So it sounds to me, if by what you're describing, that he walked, but he seemed unnaturally light on his feet when he walked, right?
Yes. He used the same concept that they used in the movie, a suspensor belt because he had been given a disease, which everybody knows who's seen Dune, so I don't think that's a spoiler.
Yeah.
But as it progresses, his weight would continue to bloom. He could go on a starvation diet and he would not lose weight. So
I
what
believe
he
it.
did is they kept tweaking the suspensors to compensate for that weight. So if you were to see him from a distance, you wouldn't necessarily realize that he was floating. He'd float a little bit, but not the, flying around that they had him doing in that movie.
Right. Though I will say, even if that is not accurate to the book,
It
I
made him
like
scary.
it did, and honestly, I liked seeing it. And I think the actor that played him, of course, did a phenomenal job. I know I say that about every actor I talk about, but I mean it. They did a great job, and also props to the makeup team because they overachieved in making him look absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, they did. And considering that they were working with a very limited budget, what they did with makeup and costuming across the board was incredible.
Yeah, it was. So the CGI that they used, I picked it out. I picked one out right away when they were bringing up that weird shield sort of thing that surrounded their whole body. That
Yeah. Oh, I hated that. That was yeah.
I mean, it reminded me of the original Tron or the Last Starfighter, that sort of CGI, and I'm still not quite sure what I think about it, honestly.
It was the best that they could do at the time. Again, going back to the books, I think you're going to see a much more realistic version in the new Dune movie. It got closer to what it should have been in the sci-fi movie, which I don't remember. John, do you remember when the sci-fi? I've seen them multiple
I
times,
want
but
to
I can't
say it
remember when
was.
they came
I
out.
want to say it was the mid to late '90s when the Sci-Fi Channel
Yeah.
did their miniseries.
The body shield technology in the miniseries, it wasn't quite so blatant CGI, and it was closer to what it should be.
Okay. By the way, real quick, hello to Alan Copeland. So the practical effects though that they did, especially for the worms, that was incredible. So the worms were probably my favorite part of this movie. Just seeing how they were designed, how they moved, how they acted, and then later on how everyone's riding them into the final battle was really, really amazing to see. And funny enough, this is only the second movie that I have ever seen with giant worms in it, the first being Tremors. But I like the design of the worms in this movie way more than I like the worms in Tremors. What do you guys think?
Actually, I've never seen Tremors, so I can't speak on that.
I've seen some of Tremors. It was one of those movies I started watching and got bored with about halfway through. I did not like the monsters in that, so I absolutely agree with you. I like the worms in Dune. I think that was probably one of the things that they stayed the truest to the description in the book.
Yeah.
Right.
Which I thought was wonderful considering what an important part they play.
Yeah. And again, just the way they designed, their mouth also reminded me a lot of the Sarlacc pit without all the tentacles, which was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, the Matt Cave says Tremors is great. It's been a minute since I've seen it. I haven't seen it since 2013. So yeah, take Matt Cave's word for it if you want to see it. Let's see, what else can we speak about here? The characters are all pretty good too. Paul, how do you pronounce it?
Tradies.
Atreides. Paul Moadib.
Paul Moadib or Paul Atreides, whichever. whoever that was that played that part looked like he was born to play that part. Like, that is one of those castings that you just can't picture anyone else in that role, at least to me. You know, Arnold as the Terminator, Stallone as Rocky, Hamill and Ford as Luke and Han, respectively, and now this guy as Paul Atreides.
You mean Kyle McClanahan?
Kyle
McLaughlin.
McClanahan.
McLaughlin.
Okay, Kyle McLaughlin. But yeah, he did a fantastic job of this. But in a weird way, the way his story was told, and again, I'm saying all of this not knowing a thing about any of the books. This is my first exposure to Dune anything. I saw in him a sort of weird inverted version of what I've called the hero's story, the same as what you've seen with Luke Skywalker or Neo from the Matrix, where, just to recap, you have the hero who starts out in a humble place that gets called on this grand adventure and seeks the help of a wise mentor to go on that adventure that ultimately leads to him defeating the big evil. And sure, he may be tested and stumble a few times, but he gets back up and is ultimately triumphant. In this story, though, they kind of flip that story on his head, and it still works, where he starts out pretty much as royalty. And he's royalty, but he's brought down to a humble place, only to then rise back up and become the savior that Arrakis needs. And it was definitely a very interesting change to the formula that I really, really liked.
Okay, I can see how you would get that, and I agree with that, and that's kind of where they were going across the board. Now, Kyle MacLachlan, out of the Dune movies that have been made, I like him the best as Paul Atreides. I need to see what this new guy does, because physically and age-wise, he does not fit where Paul Atreides should be as he's leaving Caladan.
Okay.
And that's being a little bit of a book purist. I mean, his performance, I agree with you, was fantastic. When I first saw the movie, because Dune 1984 was my entrance into the Dune series, and there were just certain things that bugged me about it, so I went reading the books and reading the audiobooks. But in the books, Paul Atreides is 15 years old, and he's small for his size.
Yeah.
So I love Kyle MacLachlan's performance as Paul Atreides in that movie, but going from a book purist standpoint, he's okay, and I can say this because I'm female. He's too hunky.
Okay.
He's too muscular for the part.
I can see where you're coming from with that. And framed under that context, you could also make the claim that he's a little bit too old.
Yes. Because the Lady Jessica was and then this again is the timeline. So the thing you have to remember about Dune 1984 is they did, to make it fit within a 2.5 hour block, they messed with the timeline a little bit.
Okay.
And it's not always obvious where they messed with the timeline. But if you go back to the timeline, Paul was only 15 years old. And it's the same with the children of Dune later down the line. And I get why they couldn't do it, because with the way the books are structured, it's hard for a child to play those roles.
Makes sense.
But yeah, but Dune, what you're going to find if you don't get the book completed before you see the movie, and I'm really curious to see the next movie, is the 1984, with as good as it was, condensed and spliced and tweaked the timeline a little bit. If Denis Villeneuve follows the timeline, it's going to be a little bit different. So you need to kind of expect that going into Dune 2021.
How
Okay.
long is that movie supposed to be, though? That's the thing.
A-
Because that's the reason they had to condense it, because, I mean, it went down. Now, I've got access to the 3-hour version. What we watched last night was only about 2.25 hours.
And that's what I saw also.
The
Yeah.
3-hour version is definitely better. It's
because they can
closer.
put more into it. To
Yeah.
do the book justice, the miniseries actually is the best you can come out with, because
It's 6.
you're talking 6 hours.
So, yeah, and this is only supposed to be the first half of the book. And the new movie is only supposed to be the first half of the book.
Okay, so they're
Wow.
going to do like they did with Harry Potter 7.
Yeah, and pretty much what I understand from people who have seen, some friends I have in Europe, they actually say in the opening, Dune Part 1.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that really is exciting. I'm not saying anything more than that, because I mean they could screw it up royally. In these days, they could screw it up royally.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
Yeah.
I'm cautiously hopeful.
Makes sense. All right. So, let's see. The other character, because yeah, Paul Atreides, casting issues aside from the book perspective, great character.
Yeah.
His father, I think, did a great job for the role that he had. Same with his mom. His sister, because like I said, when I first saw this, having come into it about halfway last night, she sort of just seemed to come out of nowhere to me at the end, and I hadn't made the 2+2 connection of, oh wait, that's his sister that we see in that really disgusting scene of her unborn. That's his sister that has mentally just grown up beyond what anyone can.
Okay, there is a time jump that was not clear in the 1984 movie.
Yeah, there was.
And
Right.
it's in the book too. There is I want to say it's like a 3 to a 4 year time jump between the time that the Lady Jessica takes the water of life to become a Reverend Mother, and Ilea is also transformed. Because what wasn't covered in that book was Paul and Chaney's relationship and the offspring of that relationship. And I don't want to cover too much because I think it may be in the new movie. But there's a time jump between the scene that you're talking about with Ilea preborn and the scene where Ilea comes back into the thing. There's like a 3 to a 4 year time, a 3-year minimum, probably a 4-year time jump.
So what they're trying to imply is that by the end of that 3 to 4 year time jump, physically she's like a preschooler, but mentally she is the same as any of the other ladies wearing black, the Reverend Mothers.
Yes. Okay. Let's give you a little bit of background here. The Bene Gesserit have 2 types of sisters. There are the basic sisters, which is what the Lady Jessica was until she hit Arrakis. Okay? They are trained mentally, physically, emotionally to do the work of the sisterhood. Then you have the Reverend Mothers, who is the Helen Gaius Mohayim. They have gone through the transformation that you saw the Lady Jessica go through, which takes their abilities to a whole different level. Because Jessica could not access her past memories as a sister. So she could not access her past memories until she transmuted the water of life. And that is what also woke Ilea to consciousness, what they call consciousness, which is, there's a good description in one of the books that talks about how it's hearing a multitude of voices in your head, because all of your past lives will come forward and try and get your attention. All of your female genetic line will come forward and try and get your attention. So that's why Aya was born the way she was, is because that awakening happened literally before she had a personality. So she
Okay.
had access to all of those memories and all of that information prior to her birth.
Which, of course, makes her personality-wise who it is. And real quick, Leia Rose has a comment here. She says, was it mentioned in one of the books that Jessica was the Baron's daughter, or is she wrong?
No, Leia, you're not wrong. It was meant. It's, in fact, depending on which book you're speaking of, it actually has Jessica's conception. And in the miniseries, Paul actually tells Jessica. The thing you have to remember about the sisterhood is, in their breeding program, is basically these sisters are sent out to these powerful men to get pregnant. They come back, they have the baby. The baby is taken away from its mother and raised by the sisterhood. So the child never knows its biological parents.
Okay. Is that also, by the way, one reason why, as it's mentioned early on in the movie, that the sisters are only supposed to have daughters, so that perhaps that's how they get more sisters and or reverend mothers like that?
It is part of how they do that. But it's all depending on. Okay, the Lady Jessica was commanded to bear only daughters. And for the most part, the sisters do bear only daughters because they are working a genetic breeding program that goes back thousands of generations to breed the Kwisatz Haderach. So the genetic line is controlled by the female. So if they have a daughter, they can breed to whatever male genetic line they want.
Okay.
And there's fascinating, if you really get into Dune, there's fascinating pre-books that Brian Herbert has written off of his father's notes that kind of fill in some of these gaps. But yes, mostly the sisters do bear daughters. They were supposed to bear daughters until they got to the Kwisatz Haderach, because that was the one that was supposed to be the male that could look down both genetic lines.
Which Paul Atreides ended up being.
Yes, he came a generation too early.
Yeah, I was going to say it was about a generation early.
Yes, Jessica was commanded to bear a daughter to Duke Leto, so that the daughter to Duke Leto could be bred to the Harkonnen heir, or Fayed Ralpha, and that was to produce the Kwisatz Haderach.
Okay. So had things gone according to that plan, what do you think would have happened to Paul and his life?
Paul wouldn't have
Yeah,
existed.
Paul would have never been born.
Yeah, Paul would have never been born, because once Jessica gave the Duke a daughter, the daughter would have been sent off to the sisterhood, because then they would have locked in that genetic line. And Jessica more than likely would have either, how shall I put this? Either chosen not to get pregnant, or made sure the Duke could have no future heirs.
Okay. All right. Like I said, I'm still very much confused about all of this, so I guess I'm gonna have to really dive into all this stuff to get it.
Plans within plans within plans. I literally have all of the audiobooks, and when I'm driving off to catch shows, I play them. And I swear, even today, after going through the audiobooks, oh gosh, I don't know how many times, I still pick up, ooh, I hadn't thought of that one before.
Okay. So another topic to talk about that I'm still not 100% clear on is that guild and the Emperor, and basically spice in general. Like, what is that? Why? Well, I get it. It's a fuel for their version of space travel, as they call space folding. But basically, what does this guild care so much about it for?
Okay, say that question again.
The guild that you see that meets the Emperor at the very beginning of the movie,
Uh-huh.
and then later on again, when they realize that, oh crap, our spice mining stuff on Arrakis is shutting down, basically, why do they care about all
They're in
that?
fear because the Quizart Satarak can destroy them. They are
Okay.
no longer needed.
It's a little bit more than that too. I think
Yeah,
what you
it's a little bit more complicated. I'm trying to simplify it for
Yeah.
Paul.
I appreciate that.
what you see is the development of the navigators. You saw a fully developed navigator in that tank in the opening. Okay.
Yes.
What the guild does is the spice does not actually fuel the engines. Okay, they have a hyperdrive for that. What the navigator does is he uses prescience to see a safe path through fold space. Otherwise, you're jumping from point A to point B, and hopefully the computer figured it out right, but they may put you inside of a star.
kind of like what Han Solo tells Luke when they
Yeah,
initially go to light speed.
I remember
Exactly.
that.
Exactly. What the navigators do is they use their prescience to look at all of the possible paths and find a safe path to go from point A to point B. Now the spice is something that basically the entire Imperium is addicted to at some level. It gives you longer life, but what it does for the navigators is they saturate their perspective navigators in spice gas, okay, which allows them to extend their minds. And they will either succeed in being able to take that step or they won't. But after they take that first step to become a navigator, they have to live in that spiced environment to survive.
Okay.
That's why they are so terrified that the Quizart's Haderach is going to stop the spice flow. That's why they keep saying the spice must flow, because otherwise they lose their prescient sight and they die.
Okay. That makes sense now. So, the Harkonnens. We've already established they're basically ugly gingers. But what's their part in this story? Why are they there? And why did they want to take over Arrakis like they did?
The Harkonnens had been running the spice on Arrakis for generations.
Okay.
And the Emperor saw that House Atreides was gaining power or gaining popularity. That's why he turned around and basically removed the Harkonnens and put Atreides in on Arrakis, and then in a secret plan sent the Harkonnens to destroy House Atreides so that there wouldn't be two competing powers.
And actually, the Harkonnens have hated the Atreides for generations.
Yeah, it basically go back to the old Cold War of the United States against Russia.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Purebred blood feud.
Okay. So they, in theory, take out House Atreides, and they take over the spice mining operation themselves and ultimately profit from it. That's ultimately what they want. But then Paul Atreides puts a stop to that, by Michael's back.
Hey,
Welcome
Michael.
back.
Hey.
So right now, Michael, we're talking about things in Dune that I am still completely confused by, and I know that you have some stuff that you're completely confused by too. So
Mm-hmm.
I was losing the train of thought to that question I was having. So do you have any questions about it, Michael?
My question is yes.
Yes.
Well, I'm not quite sure how to
Mine
answer that
too.
one.
42?
Well, I guess before I actually ask any questions, I do want to point out some of the effects that they used, like in the beginning where they were having those two guys fight, but it looked like they were using the same effects or similar effects from the original Tron, where they CGI'd like polygon suits to shield each other or something.
Yeah,
Did I like
that's
that?
that's the body shields.
Yeah.
And what the body shields are supposed to be, and I think it was just a matter of they couldn't do it any better, is
Mhm.
if you read, I'll tell you what the way the book describes it. It describes it as a tingling over the skin. It's like a second skin almost. It's
Mhm.
not some big field to get through.
Yeah.
And that was one thing I was telling Paul that was one thing that always bugged me about that first Tron movie was the shield scene, and that was the first thing I was looking at in the new movie.
Mhm.
I think the way they did that to try and show what it did was due to the technology of the time.
Mhm. Which, of course, I would say they did the best they could and actually performed well given what it had looked like in comparison to the book, you said.
Yeah, it got the message across of what it was trying to be,
Mhm.
but it was just for me that was the shield technology was always a bit of a pet peeve for me on that movie.
Mhm. Yeah. And I guess my only question is, how did we get from people trying to control bending of space through spice to the worms inevitably being the spice, and then for some reason there was like big fight between who was supposedly a minion to the main bad guy and the main character, which I guess it kind of goes along with how there's plans within plans, as you all talked about earlier. But I'm still trying to grasp, how did we get from point A to point Z at this point? Because it's not like A, B, C, D. Everything's kind of happening at once, it seems.
Well, you've got to understand that
Mm-hmm.
the line in the movie that is truly strong there is he who controls the spice controls the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The Spacing Guild desperately needs the spice. Because of the fact that they are the only ones who can control safe hyper navigation, safe space folding. Okay. They can manipulate every house because every house needs access for trade, even the emperor, to the different planets in this wide universe. And so these guys kind of work behind the scenes. Both they and the Bene Gesserit both work behind the scenes. The emperor, it controls 51% of the trading company of the universe. This is what they didn't tell you in the beginning to kind of help you set up this universe. He controls 51%. The houses of the Landsrod control the rest. So there's an interesting, delicate balancing act going on here. The emperor can't go too far, at least not openly, and the Landsrod is not really strong enough to take full power. And the Spacing Guild is behind both and can keep wars from happening because they can say very simply, we're not transporting your troops.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of your overall political situation. Arrakis is the only place in this universe that has the spice and has the worms.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a fiefdom granted to whatever house the emperor so demands. And the Emperor gets his taxes and his spice supply off of that. And it's whoever he thinks can get the most response to most resources out of that planet. So you have one spot that's controlling this substance that everybody needs. And the other little thing that they don't tell you in this movie is that once you start taking the spice, it's basically addicting. And like with any
Yeah.
addictive substance, depending on how much you take, if it's
You're gonna
suddenly
need
cut
more
off
of
from
it.
you, you're going to need more of it, or you're going to die potentially.
Mhm.
So Arrakis becomes this charmed little gem that the Emperor can control, who runs it. Okay, and then of course the poor people on Arrakis are just stuck with whoever the Emperor defines, because they have no voice in anything. Does that kind of help get you the initial setup of this picture?
Yeah, I think that definitely helps out a lot. And also prepare me for rewatching this movie, because I'll definitely have to do that.
I think, John, how many times did you say you'd seen this, the 1984 version?
Honestly, I quit counting.
I know I'm in double digits on it too.
Like I
Yeah.
said, I didn't see it in theaters,
Hmm.
but when it came to cable, I mean, every time it came on, I was watching it.
Yeah, we'll definitely be watching this more overall. I think that's all the questions that I have so far. I'm just still trying to process this movie overall, and honestly, I think that is a good way to end this. So, thank you both for popping on this stream and talking about it with us. And I already mentioned this already, but I'll mention it one more time here at the end. Couple announcements we got to go over. Tuesday Night Trek this week will be going on as normal, but after that, next Sunday, there will not be a stream because both Michael and I will be out of town, nor will there be a Tuesday Night Trek the following Tuesday, but we will instead be visiting with Coffee on Korriban here and making some form of content either on our channel or on his, so stay tuned for that. And subscribe to him, by the way, if you haven't yet.
Mm-hmm.
And
also, just as a reminder, Star Wars Visions will be releasing in 3 days.
yes, so we will be definitely mentioning that before we go out of town. And also in 2 Wednesdays, we actually no 2 weeks from Wednesday, Michael and I are going to start a series of reviewing the Clone Wars, and we're going to have Coffee on Korriban, and we're going to have the Matt Cave join us with that. So definitely stay tuned for that. And just remember, guys, I'm Master Paul, he's Mando on Fire, and the Force is family. See you guys later.
See ya.